Came here with nothing, a suitcase, a lot of dreams, and I thought everybody was waiting for me. And they were not. They gave me a tile of the opera house, which is super rare. I crushed it and I put it in the crown of the watch.
So I'm delighted to welcome to the channel founder of BAUSELE, Christophe Hoppe, all the way from Sydney, Australia.
Hello, Simon, all the way from Sydney, Australia. It's the night time here, and it's the morning for you.
So Christophe, look, we were talking about a month ago, having a really fascinating conversation because I didn't really know your background. And I wondered whether you could just explain to the viewers a little bit about BAUSELE for anyone who's not familiar with the brand. And also, what led you to starting the brand?
Look, I'm an ex-accountant. So I started as a boring accountant, worked for PricewaterhouseCoopers, and I was in Luxembourg, but always had a passion for watches, then moved to Switzerland, so a bit closer from my dream. And at the age of 28, I become one of the youngest CFO, the youngest at the time, 28, for Technomarine in 2000. That shows my age, and it was great working with Franck, the sole owner of the company. I was very lucky, brought me everywhere, and yeah, it was just a sponge and taking it all in, and meeting with suppliers, with bankers, with everything. And I was like, ooh, one day I would love to do that myself. Little I knew how hard it was at the time, but certainly that sparked the desire to do something. Then I became CFO for the Swatch Group for Universo in La Chaux-de-Fonds, and that's really what I love. I'm a nerdy guy at heart. I love things in the back. I'm not the champagne sort of bling bling type of guy. I'm more in the behind the scene, looking at the machine and understanding how components are made. Yeah, I love that. And I just love it. That's how I came into watches when I was a kid. I opened watches, my grandfather's watch or my dad's watch, and then I had no idea how to put it back together. I probably broke a few, and yeah, I just love to see how it's made inside, and also love cars. The same way. It's all about toys.
Yeah. I think I often say this really, that I think people who love cars typically will love watches as well. I think the two things go so hand in hand.
Same thing.
Yeah, I used to be kind of very much into cars, and got to the point where I just couldn't afford to keep kind of spending money on that hobby. So watches was a slightly less expensive alternative.
Not anymore.
Well, yeah, crazy. That's also true. Yeah.
It's crazy. At the time, you could, it was a bit of a lesser, but now, cars are still also going up and up and up. I had a nice little Porsche 911 Targa ST, absolutely stunning. But at the time, I could afford it. Now, I don't think I could. First, because I'm a poor entrepreneur, and secondly, because the prices just went up like crazy.
How did you end up in Australia?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't finish what I was saying, but yeah, so I was in Switzerland, met my beautiful wife, Alex, who was a professional dancer in Switzerland, in Geneva first, then in Basel. We're living in Biel-Bienne, so I was taking the train to La Chaux-de-Fonds, she was taking the train to Basel, and showed me around. She's from Australia, showed me around Australia. I was like, yep, that's where I want my kids to grow up. So we moved here, resigned from my position at Universo, came here with nothing, a suitcase, a lot of dreams, and I thought everybody was waiting for me. And I went and got into a lot of interviews, and I was like, yep, it's me, I'm here. You were waiting, and they were not. So after 6 months of looking for a job, I started to think about, what can I do? So I asked a few favors to my friends. I called back in Switzerland. I was like, can you please help me? I would love the idea of starting an Australian watch brand, because there was none. There was Adina and Classic at the time in Australia making watches, but very different. Nothing Swiss and nothing like like I the standard level that I wanted to make something. And so I asked a few friends, and I put a few samples together, and then a crazy investor said, "Yep, I like your idea. Give me a bit of money," and I started. But yeah, so yeah, it was just as everything in life, Simon. It's when there is something difficult that you start to think a little bit outside the box and try to find a solution to get you out of the situation you're in. If I continued being a CFO, extremely well paid for doing not much, I would have continued, I'm sure. But I did. I had to find a solution because I had no job and in a new country, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa! I don't like the situation.
Really, it was necessity as much as anything, I guess, that kind of gave you that little shove into starting the brand.
Otherwise, you would never, you know. I mean, it's you know, you would never. I mean, I'm not saying you would never start a brand, but you would never push yourself outside of your comfort zone. That's what I want to say. You know, it's I was comfortable, you know, and then start, and then I was still a bit comfortable because I eventually find a job. So it was a side gig having BAUSELE, and the first years, if I was selling 100 watches, I was happy, and reinvesting everything, every little cent into BAUSELE, and then it grew, and now it's 17,000 watches that are there, and we do a lot with the defense force. We're very lucky to be very well supported by the defense force here, and watches for the Air Force, for the here there's the latest that we're doing with the Air Force, but with the Army Intelligence Corps, the Special Ops, a lot with defense. So very lucky to have that. Very well supported here.
Was that something? Did you reach out to the military, or did they kind of find you?
Yeah, no, I was super lucky. The first contract came to me. It was with the Army Intelligence Corps, so the secret agents from the Army in Australia. They reached out. They wanted a watch. They had something with going with Omega, but they wanted something for the normal people, I would say, because not everybody can spend 5 or 6 grand on the watch, and they wanted something a little bit less expensive and Australian. So I fit the bill. I gave them a cheaper option, and then from that, because once you're in defense, then they move into different corps, and so slowly but surely it started to spread that there was that guy making watches for the defense, and they contacted me, and they all been through contact. They all contacted me. I've never. The Air Force Centenary. We consciously went to them, but all the others, they came to us.
What would you say the brand's kind of biggest achievements have been? Would that be some of the military work or other things?
Yeah, look, a watch for the Senior Opera House. Senior Opera House contacted us and asked me to design a watch for them. They've never done a partnership with the brand before. It was the first. They gave me a tile of the Opera House, which is super rare, and they're very protective of those styles. I crushed it and I put it in the crown of the watch, so people physically had a piece of the iconic Senior Opera House with them. I was there pitching myself, doing the launch of the watch at the Opera House with the Sydney Harbour Bridge behind me. Being a little immigrant that moved in the country at that time would have been 6-7 years ago. I was like, what happened there? It's just so yeah, that was a big achievement. Of course, the centenary of the Air Force, but just having a brand, just doing what I love every day, and just being passionate about what I do, and meeting amazing people. We're very lucky when we, as brand owner, we can meet with I had dinner with the Prime Minister, when the French president comes to Australia, I had dinner. I mean, just stuff like that. I don't care about politics, but it's just meeting people that you would never really meet if I wasn't in that position.
Yeah, probably situations you would never have expected to have found yourself in, right?
Absolutely not.
So, from your current range, what would you say some of your best-selling models are?
Look, it's that case, the Cine Diver. We've launched it, and it used to be the Ocean Moon, our bestseller. We've launched it, and it's just a beautiful case. It's super thin on the wrist, especially with that profile here. You don't even see that case back, and it makes it a very thin watch on the wrist. And it comes with 2 straps. It's just a beautiful watch. I swim every morning in the ocean. I swim with the watch, and it's just so comfy. I wouldn't swim with the Ocean Moon, which is a little bit more bulky. But that one just fits well in every situation, in the ocean, at a meeting in the city. Just a good versatile watch, and a good, sturdy, good looking watch. So just love the look of that watch. And we've done lots of collabs as well. We've done one with Seconde Seconde, based on that case. There's one coming with the dial artist with Chris in the UK, and same based on that watch, on that model, because it's really a good looking watch.
It's interesting that you talk about Seconde Seconde and people like Dial Artist and these collaborations. I think that the micro brand space, I think, is just really interesting at the moment. I think there are a lot of collaborations. Seconde Seconde seems to be flying with his involvement with various brands. I think recently just with Christopher Ward with the Desk Diver.
Beautiful. How good is that? Seriously, the detail.
Very clever.
Oh, and everything they've done, of course, Romaric Seconde coming with the idea, but Christophe Hoppe with the product and the presentation and the packaging, everything is amazing. Really, wow! I was mind blown.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. There's so much thought has gone into it at every level.
So good, and being an ex-corporate guy, I relate. I just love it. So clever.
This is interesting for me, is that I think that whilst the watch industry as a whole is in maybe a challenging place right now. Look, the whole economy is, and it's not just watches, right? We talked about cars. Well, nobody's buying cars either. But I think the market seems very much for me to have polarized. So, you've got the kind of exclusive independents at the top, and people like Moser who seem to be doing incredibly well and growing their business. And I think you've got the micro brands at the other end of the scale that, many of them still seem to be doing very, very well and seeing a lot of growth there. And I think it's that middle space really that is probably finding it the hardest.
Yeah, but I won't feel too bad for them. All these brands, they've had some very good years, and they're still doing good numbers. Yeah, it's a bit lower, but it's still good numbers. You can't. They're comparing against growth that were unsustainable. It was 2022, 2023 was just mad. And for us, we're still growing because we're small. So yeah, so.
Yeah, but you'll know working. as a former CFO though, you will have seen, I guess, that if companies have a good year, well, the target for next year is always higher. The target's never lower.
Always, and of course, and then you're upset when it's a bit lower, but people are still pushing, and then end up doing also silly things. I've seen some silly things happening with all the selling and stocks and inventory and stuff that are sold not really the way they should be done. It's big business, but we're not in that game. I'm selling my little watches online, and it's working pretty well.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear. And so you said that there are 17,000 of your watches out there, right?
Yeah, 17,000. It starts to be a number, but it's and every time I see one, I'm in the wild. I'm like a little boy. And once I went to see a guy in the airplane, and he had one of my watches, and obviously English is not my first language. I went to see him, and I was all excited. It was, that's my watch, And he was like, no, that's my watch. And I was like, sorry, yeah, it's your watch, but it's I've designed it. and I offered him a drink. I offered him a drink. Every time I see a watch, I offer a drink. Please, send a drink to that table or to that seat, or yeah.
That's very cool.
It's amazing, It's such a cool feeling that someone put their hard-earned money into buying a product of yours that you worked super hard to get off the ground, and it's all, I don't know, it's just pretty special.
One of the features of your watches that I guess is almost a signature touch that I think is just really nice is, and you touched on this earlier when we were talking about the Sydney Opera House, was the crown. And that I don't know if this is all your models, but most of the ones I've seen have this little window, right? So just explain a little bit about that and what's inside the crown.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of Australia or something else in the crown. So there's a hollow crown, and usually they have sand from Manly, which is my local where I swim every morning. But sometimes they've got other things. I've got red earth from the Kimberley, and yeah, so it's in there, and it came to me from the idea of Yvon Arpa, who has the brand Artia. By the time he was working for Romain Jérôme, and they did a watch with some hashes from a volcano that blocked the whole of Europe.
I remember.
Yeah, and they put the hashes on the dial. And when I started the brand, BAUSELE was like, I need something a bit special, and then, I put the sand in the crown. And funny enough, we were at BAUSELE 2014, I think, and our neighbor was Yvon. And he looked, and I said, Yvon, thanks to you, I've got a watch brand. Thank you very much. And he was, well, thank you to thank me, because you're the only one who actually thanked me. And a lot of people then used the fact to use real elements into the watch, which he was the first to actually introduce. Almost a year ago, I was at a friend's place in Luxembourg, and I was working at his desk, and I looked up, and there was all these little glass container that had beach sand from around the world. So people do that. People do collect sand and then keep them in a jar, which, that's I've got it in the watch. I even have a watch here that we did for the Bathurst 12 Hour, which is a race here in Australia, where Valentino Rossi actually compete in the BMW. And there's some marble, rubber marble.
The rubber from the tires. Yeah, right. Wow. And I guess with the sand, I mean, are you going and collecting the sand from the beach yourself, or?
Yeah. And it's always last minute. I don't know why. I don't know how I do it, but I swim every morning in the ocean. But when I need the sand, it's always my supplier say, "Oh, you should need that." So I quickly run in the car. I go and get a Tupperware, and I send but it's 15 minutes away from here, so it's not too far. But now I've got loads of people sending me stuff from everywhere. So sometimes in the mail, it's just the red earth. I've never been to the Kimberley, but someone who went just sent that to me. Same from Uluru. I got some soil from around Uluru, and same from the Whitehaven Beach, or a really white sand I received. And it's just like that in the mail. And then I've got an email saying, "Oh, I've sent you that, and I thought of you." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you." And we always use it in limited edition or something.
And so, obviously, we talked a little bit about your current models and some of the best sellers. Is there anything you could share with us about what's on the horizon for BAUSELE?
Yeah, well, the few things. We are launching first a collab with the Dal artist, but I just said that before. Amazing. He came with an amazing concept. I'm not going to say too much but we're launching something, but the concept is great. But we've got the sample already that we've presented at the Geneva Watch Days at the end of August. People loved it. It's beautiful. And we are about to have a new brand ambassador. His name is Glenn Maxwell. For people who like their cricket, he's a quite famous cricketer in Australia and in India. He plays in the IPL for Bangalore, and And yeah, so it's a pretty big deal because his following is quite huge here in Australia and India and worldwide. But so yeah, we're looking forward to launch that. People will be able to win his watch that he's wearing, which is the Ocean Moon Emerald Green. And yeah, so that's the things that are happening in before Christmas.
Wow. Okay, that's exciting. Actually, I'm looking forward to seeing some of those things happen.
Yeah, it's cool, and having a new ambassador like Glenn, and going into a new country like India, which is a country I love. I went to my honeymoon actually was in India with Alex, my wife, a country I love. So yeah, I'm looking forward to explore more in that country.
And a very big market for watches now, right?
Huge. Everybody's going there. Everybody, it's booming, and there's a strong connection between India and Australia. Always been, and so we've got already a lot of customers here in Australia that are from Indian background that are buying our watches. But now we try to go and sell them straight to India.
So, Christo, if people want to go and find your watches, where can they find them? Because I mean, you've got retail stores, bricks and mortar retailers who stock the watches where people can try them on, right? As well as available online, yeah?
Yes, correct. We've got Alan in Europe doing an amazing job, based in Amsterdam. If you're familiar with the watch world, you know of Ace Jeweler. It's Alan, the one and only. So getting in contact with him is the man in Europe. And apart from that, it's online, and just ask to talk to me, Christo. I'm only one click away, and I love talking with anyone that has the same passion in me. So just don't hesitate.
Oh, that's fantastic, and I'd really encourage anyone to go and check out the watches, because I think there's some really interesting stuff, really interesting designs. So all credit to you for what you've done with BAUSELE. Thank you for coming on the channel.
Thank you very much, Simon.